Turning now to the Treehouse Murder Trial, Franklin Ty Tucker is accused of taking part in a robbery that turned deadly. Tucker is charged with robbery, homicide, aggravated assault in an incident that led to the death of 59-year-old Matthew Bonnet. The Bonnet was stabbed during a robbery on a property called the Treehouse, which at the time was a popular party spot. Tucker is representing himself and claims he didn't participate in the crime at all. Take a listen to his cross-examination of a former Monroe County detective who was on the case back in 2017.
What about Paula's backpack?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you were there, or yes, you collected it?
Yes, I collected it.
Okay. And approximately, I don't expect, I know it's been a long time, approximately how long was that after the crime?
I believe it was December 7th.
And where was that evidence collected from?
It was in Big Pine.
Okay. And was there any explanation as to how it got to Big Pine?
It was at a house that John Travis Johnson, the getaway driver, was working at after.
There was a house John Travis Johnson was working at?
Yes.
Okay. And did John Travis Johnson ever explain how that got there?
I don't know. I'm sure he did, but I wasn't part of that interview.
Okay. Just asking. Okay. And how did that come to be found? How did they find her backpack there?
The homeowner went to go change the air filter in her air conditioner, and in the air conditioner closet, she saw the backpack in the back of that closet underneath the air handler.
So you took it from Big Pine back to headquarters?
I don't believe so. I don't believe that's where I took it.
Okay, and where did you take it?
I probably took it to the Special Operations building in Marathon, where Major Crimes main office was. It was secured in my possession the entire time.
Secured in your possession?
Yes, sir.
Is that against MCSO policy?
It is against their standard practices, yes.
All right, joining us now, the defendant, Franklin Ty Tucker, and his wife, Lauren Jenai. I want to thank you both for joining us today. I truly appreciate it. Let me start with you, Franklin, because you're in the arena. And I got to say, I've been impressed so far with how you've been doing. But I want to get from you what this experience has been like thus far.
In short, surreal. I mean, the whole thing. We've been going through this for 6 years, and finally get here, and it's been surreal. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe what's going on. We thought this was going to be over with a long time ago.
All right, we're going to dig into that in a minute, but I want to first find out what went into your decision to decide to represent yourself. That's a big decision, a lot at stake, pretty much the rest of your life. So what went into that decision?
Actually, there were a lot of factors that went into that decision, to be honest. I did discuss it with my attorneys. There's some debate there. There was definitely some debate there. But the situation and the posture that we were in at the time, it required it at the time. We didn't actually go with the strategy that we had planned. So, it didn't exactly pan out like we wanted. But now that we're here, it hasn't exactly been all bad either. There are some advantages to it. So we're trying to take advantage of the advantages it has. While obviously there are some drawbacks. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, so when I'm in the arena, I guess I do have lawyers who are advisors, but no, I actually I have to argue the case. The one thing that is a huge benefit, though, is, and I guarantee you this, I know the case better than they do.
All right, fair enough. No argument there. All right, let me bring in Lauren. Lauren, you've pretty much been involved in this from the very beginning. I won't try to characterize your relationship currently with Franklin, but I know you are, in fact, husband and wife. I want to get your thoughts on the trial so far, and specifically the decision by Franklin to represent himself.
Well, I have to agree with Tyrone about this experience of it going to trial finally. It is absolutely surreal to watch the thing that we've been working on for 6 years culminate in a courtroom, and for him to be up there telling his story and representing himself. And honestly, I think that he's doing a really good job of keeping it simple, getting his points across, and considering he's not an attorney, I think he comes across really well in the courtroom. And that actually was part of our decision, because I think it was a mutual decision that he represent himself. I think I made a phone call to him. I said, nobody can tell this story like you can. And when you do tell this story and you talk about your case, you come across incredibly genuine. And I think that is going to go over very well with a jury. And another aspect of that is that we really had great attorneys representing Ty. I have no complaints about them whatsoever. They had gotten us very far in the case, but we still were in a position where it felt like the judge wasn't really listening to what we had to say. And he was, had denied a motion to dismiss the case in a very, what I felt was pretty aggressive manner. And it really felt like if we were going to win this, it would be through a different method than is traditionally used. And at the end of the day, like Ty said, he knows the case better than anybody. I probably am the second person who knows the case better than anybody. And as good as attorneys can be, they won't be able to tell the story, represent him the way he can do it. And I think so far that is coming across successfully in the trial so far.
All right. Now, Franklin, do you prefer Tyrone or Ty? I mean, it sounds like you go by Tyrone or Ty. All right, so we'll stay with Ty.
Yeah.
Ty, there were reports that there was an offer made to you for time served. You could have walked away from this thing. You would have had a conviction, obviously, but you turned that down. Is that true, and why would you turn that down?
Well, to be honest, I don't know why anybody would take a conviction if they didn't do it. I mean, look, I understand the risks involved, but again, I have children, and though my children are grown at this point, I'm still their father, and this is a crime. This is a crime that, again, for lack of a better word, I consider it a scumbag crime. I don't know another way to put it, and really, yeah. So what? I get time served, but you take that plea deal, and I'm sure you know this. You take a plea deal for even a parking ticket, and at that point, I did it, and everybody in the world is going to think I did it, and I walked, including my children, and that was a huge consideration from me from the very beginning. For me, I knew I couldn't take a plea deal because there's no way I'm going to have my kids thinking that their dad is a scumbag. And I'm just not going to have it. And it's worth everything to me.
Ty, let me ask you this. In my experience, and I've been around this a long time, people's names get put into cases. You're saying you didn't do this. How did your name end up in this case to begin with? Did you have any connection at all with the Treehouse, with the co-defendants? Like, how did your name end up in this case?
This one is, you're going to love this. I actually got Maury Povich into this, is basically how this works. Former Captain Phelps, she's no longer around. She got fired because of this investigation. And that's for something totally different. I actually tried to turn around and sue us. That was always fun. And one of our attorneys right along with us, which we did, by the way, we did get that dismissed. But what she did is, okay, I was staying in the building, at the warehouse where Rory Wilson and John Travis Johnson were both staying, right? And Rory Wilson had an apartment downstairs. John Travis Johnson was living in the upstairs. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but they call them conch houses down here. But what it is each individual pays for a room and you share a bathroom and a kitchen. So it's kind of a communal living kind of thing. But everybody's paying individual rent. Now, John Travis Johnson wasn't there very long. He had come down from Michigan. I didn't know him very well. And Rory had been there for maybe, 5-6 months. Didn't know him that well either. But he had an apartment downstairs. And then Travis was staying upstairs. And the reason I ended up there at all is because I had a couple friends, CJ and Michelle, and they had her in one of these rooms in the upstairs. And CJ and one of the other roommates got into a fight, and CJ punched the roommate in the nose, and the roommate got a restraining order up. And when he did that, I just happened to show up when they were being escorted out. And they asked me if I would go ahead and I'd stay there for a couple of days just to make sure their stuff was okay, because they were going to a hotel and they couldn't take everything. And I was like, no, I have no problem. I have a couple of days off. I'll go ahead. I can watch this for you. But I do have to be at work. I have to be back at work within a few days. And that few days turned to 6 years. And the major way this happened is I went to the Metro PCS to go pay my phone bill. And you'll have to forgive me. I'm hearing a phone call on my headset at this point, so I'm sorry. But no, I go to Metro PCS to pay my phone bill, and I go to Burger King to get something to eat. And as I'm on my way out, Rory Wilson, he stops me on the way out and asks if he can walk with me up there because he wanted to go to Burger King. And so I'm like, again, I don't know anything. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. And, we go walking up to Metro PCS, get Burger King. But in that time, what they called a confidential informant at the time, it turns out that that's not exactly true. But, source of information calls the sheriff's department, tells them that I just saw Rory Wilson, and they didn't say Rory Wilson, they called him Detroit. That was his nickname, right? And they said, I just saw Detroit at Metro PCS with a white guy. Now they know they're looking for a white suspect, right? Because of Todd O'Quinn. Todd O'Quinn, he's the witness who saw, Travis take his mask off, actually. And I'll say that with confidence. But he goes ahead and sees this, right? And so at the time, they know they're looking for a white guy. They don't know anything about Travis, but they know they're looking for a white guy. And so they go behind us at Metro PCS, and they pull up my phone record because I just paid my bill. On my Facebook profile picture, which came along with my phone record, there's a picture, and you got to remember this is it's November 17th, right? So this is a couple weeks after the 31st, which is Halloween night. And Halloween night, we have Fantasy Fest down here. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's kind of like Mardi Gras. And that year the parade was on Halloween night. Well, on my profile picture, of course, I'm sitting there with makeup on and I've got beads on, but I'm also posing with a knife and just sitting there. There's your stab, right? They know they're looking for a white boy stab. There you go. So Phelps, in her infinite wisdom, decides to go ahead and say, booyah, there's our white boy, right?
All right.
And
Ty, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off because I do have to take a break, but I'm hoping you guys stick around because I have a few more questions for you. We'll come back, so folks, please stick around on the other side. We'll continue talking to Ty Tucker and his wife, Lauren Jenai. We're going to talk about Paula Belmont, very important witness in this case, who's going to say that he wasn't there and he wasn't the one. So keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, could Alec Murdaugh get a new trial? The convicted killer claims he had an unfair trial in the murders of his wife and son. We'll unpack the jury tampering allegations and bring you the latest from the Low Country. Plus, the disappearance of little Harmony Montgomery and the murder case against her father. We have new details, including the defense's witness list as Adam Montgomery's trial approaches.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Welcome back. We continue now with our coverage of the Treehouse Murder Trial. Franklin Ty Tucker is accused of taking part in a robbery that turned deadly. Tucker is charged with robbery, homicide, aggravated assault in an incident that led to the death of 59-year-old Matthew Bonnet. He, of course, claims his innocence, and he's joining us now, the defendant, Franklin Ty Tucker, as well as his wife, Lauren Jenai. And we just heard a story from Ty about how his name sort of got put into this case in general. That was a big question I had. But Lauren, I want to ask you a quick question, because I know you've sort of supported your husband throughout, and basically said that he's not the kind of guy that would do something like this. Tell us about the Ty that you know and why you believe that he could not commit a crime like this.
Well, first of all, I think I should say that I did not blindly believe in his innocence from day one. You know, I didn't know if he was involved in something, but I didn't believe that he was capable of murder. And partially just the character that he is and the person that I've known since we were kids is a person who really does care about people. I mean, he's gone above and beyond in his life to help others in need. Including when we were kids, we had one of our close friends, his parents kicked him out of his house. He was homeless. You know, Ty lived on the streets with this guy to make sure he was safe and protected him. And that's just one example of many of, you know, that's just how I knew Ty. He was always genuine and there to help people in need. And I never knew him to be broke or in a situation where he would need to rob anybody. That just didn't make sense to me. I knew he had a job. I just couldn't see why he would be tangled up in something like this, especially to the extent of killing somebody. It's just out of character.
All right, now Ty, the case is coming. The state is just about ready to finish up their case. You're going to get an opportunity to cross-examine one of the people who are accusing you of this crime. Have said your name, Travis Johnson. He was the getaway driver in this case. He's already been convicted. He's coming in to testify. What are your plans for your cross-examination of him? I would imagine that's going to be very interesting.
Well, the first one is to get away, you know, to get rid of that whole getaway driver thing. There's no evidence that says he was a getaway driver. Simply, I mean, there's no evidence saying that except John Travis Johnson, right? So I guess if you believe him, then yeah, you know, I guess he could be. But here's the thing: is again, there's no evidence saying that. Now, as far as you know, how I'm going to cross him, I mean, Lord knows. I mean, impeachment testimonies out there. I mean, there's plenty of it. So should be interesting. You know, look, I actually, for as mad as I should be, and I should be, it's like, look, you know, I am upset about what he's doing, but at the same time, I'm more upset at the people who are making it so he can do this, right? You know, again, I don't see the logic, and maybe I'm at fault here somewheres, because okay, I don't see the logic in saying, hey, we've got evidence against you. We know you took part in this, right? But you know what we're going to do is you're the good guy. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make it so that you can go and get off in 5 years. Just tell us this guy did it, that we have no evidence against. And I don't really see the logic in that. Maybe I'm at fault here. Maybe somebody will explain it to me someday. But I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And so far, look, I've said since day one, I didn't do this. And, you know, they didn't have any evidence in the beginning. They don't have any evidence now. And it has never gotten better.
Yeah, not only, Ty, do they not have evidence, but I want to get to this. I'm running out of time, so I want to get to this. Paula Belmont will be taking the stand to testify about you not being the person. What is your relationship with Paula? Is there something that can be attacked there in that way? Or is it merely that she wants justice and somehow she knows you didn't do it? How does she know that you're not the one?
Well, I mean, look, she was there. And here's the thing that wasn't added to their affidavit. But, you know, Paula and I were not friends in the beginning of this. She knew me from around the island. I mean, it's a very small island. We know who lives here. We spoke, matter of fact, we were talking about this last night. We probably spoke a total of 5 times each other, something like that, right? So we knew each other, but we weren't friends. But she knew me well enough to know my voice, know what I looked like. And when she heard the other guy speak, it wasn't my voice. Apparently, I'm told I have a fairly distinct voice. Maybe I do. I don't know. I know she says she's 100% sure it wasn't me because of that voice, because of my size, because of my stature, the way I walk, all of that. You know, and she's incredibly brave. I got to say, she's incredibly brave. She didn't owe me anything, and she was telling people this. And now I know what they're going to do. They're going to attack the fact that we're friends, and we weren't friends at the beginning of this. We were friends after she filed a motion, and you want to talk about crazy. She files a motion with the court, and she's telling the media that she wants to be able to apologize to me for any part she may have played in what they've done to me. Now that's crazy, right? I mean, you're talking about surviving victim, and it was horrible for her. And she wants to apologize to me. And I can't talk to her. I mean, there was times, you can ask Lauren, there was times I was in tears because of what she's saying. And, but finally we were allowed to talk. And that was a tearful moment. That was a tearful moment there too. But now, yes, we are friends. We are very good friends. And I'm very upset at the decision that was made today. And I'm even more upset that I might lose my friend. And, I don't exactly know what to say about that, because she wants to testify, and she wants to testify because she not only does she feel like it's the right thing to do, and it is, but it's bold because most people won't. But she is my friend, and the idea that that somehow she passes away without testifying, it's eating her up.
Yeah, and she said clearly, for her, justice is not convicting the wrong man, right? She wants the right man convicted. All right, this whole ordeal at the end of the day. We'll continue to watch. We'll be presenting your case here on Court TV. Best of luck going forward. Again, we'll be watching here on Court TV, and again, we wish you the best. Ty Tucker, Lauren, Jenai, thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate you taking out the time
to
share your story with us.
Appreciate it.
We'll talk again. There's a lot more to be discussed here, but again, thank you so much for joining us tonight.